Welcome back YouTube, welcome to another video. I know it's been a long time, I've been mega busy and to be honest, I've been waiting for stuff and I'm still waiting for a lot of it, but we're getting close now. So yeah, let's just jump straight into it. So my block's been with ProRace for 7 weeks. They have to build up a little batch of like VR6s or whatever because they have to move the jig around to rebore it. So it's been with them for a while, but they did ring me and tell me it is all done now. So I have paid for it. It's Sunday today. I've said the pallet company is going to go collect it from them tomorrow. So I should get it Tuesday. So the block's been rebored, it's been honed, and it's been decked. So it's been resurfaced on the top again, just to make sure nothing's been warped or anything, because obviously it got mega hot. And it's coming back with their JE oversized piston rings, all that. So yeah, when that comes back, I'll then be able to build up the short block onto the head. So the head I've had an absolute nightmare with. So you've seen in my other video, I melted a bit of the head out. So at first I was looking for a new head, and a few people said to me, why don't you just get it welded? So I took it down to a specialist welder, got it welded, paid for it to be welded, bought it back, and then obviously it needs skimming. But the problem is the inner valves, they stick up a little bit proud of the head. So you really need to set the valves out, otherwise when you resurfacing it, it's going to skim the valves, and I don't want it to ruin the valve seats or whatever. So the inner row of valves, they need to come out basically. So I tried to do it with what we had here. We've got like a normal kind of universal headstand, and we've got the new universal like little clamp where you like lever it down. Oh, I was having an absolute nightmare with it. For a start off, the headstand just seems to rock everywhere, and the clamp when you're trying to put it down, because I've got the Supertech double valve springs, trying to pull it down with that, it was just I'm not messing around. I thought I'll just send it to a guy who does heads. He's got like a special bench with a big lever that pulls it down and presses them down. So I just thought, let's not mess around with that. I'm busy anyway. Let's give it to him. So I gave it to him. He took all the valves out and he like basically did everything. And then right when he got to the end, he found a crack. So there was a crack in one of the inlet ports where it got too hot, and there was a crack that ran all the way down that I hadn't seen, he hadn't seen, no one had noticed it. It worked till he took that last valve out and he seen it. So it put me back to square one. I paid for it to get welded and stuff, and basically the head just turned out to be scrap anyway, so that was a pain. But I have got a new head now, so I've got a complete second-hand head. I've sent that over to him because obviously he already had my valve springs and everything out. So he's basically going to transplant all my, because I had new valves at the same time. They weren't upgraded valves or anything, they were like TRW, a lot of OEM valves, but they were all fresh. So he's going to put the new valves in that with the valve springs. He's going to skim it. He's just going to do everything. So I'll just get it back so it's ready to go, because I ain't got the time, and I'd have to buy some more equipment. You just can't do double valve springs with that kind of clamp. It's just, it ain't no good. I'll end up scratching the head or something. So I just thought, let him do that. But yeah, anyway, he's got that blank head, so he's going to sort all of that out. So yeah, the block's coming back, the head's sorted. Ordered my new turbo manifold, so I've got a sidewinder turbo manifold coming, so the turbo is now going to sit at the side of the head, and he's also doing me a 4-inch downpipe. We're probably going to have to do complete new different exhaust, because it's now, obviously my downpipe joins over here, now the downpipe's going to come over to the right hand side instead, so we're going to have to probably do like whole exhaust. So the plan is like 4-inch downpipe into a 3.5-inch full exhaust, and at the minute mine's like 3.5-inch downpipe into a 3-inch exhaust. So we'll probably end up redoing the whole exhaust system, but that's later on. What else is there? Yeah, so DQ500. So I've took a strip to DQ500 down. We'll show that a little bit later in the video. I'll show you what I stripped down, so I won't talk on it too much now. But the bell housing is off, being machined and having the bracket made up so it bolts onto a 3.2 VR6 engine. So that's off, but I'll cover that more in a bit. So why I have been waiting, I have done quite a few bits, so none of them are massively to do with the performance side of stuff, but I want to cover it anyway, and we'll cover over everything that's planned and everything. So yeah, it's just a quick update video before we start getting into the big stuff. So for a start off, this heat shield, I made this heat shield up. I just bought the stuff off, I actually got it off AliExpress. It actually came all the way from China. So it's one big piece. I'm actually really happy with it. I completely eyeballed that, so I didn't take no measurements or anything. I just started as a big piece, and I just kept bending it, offering it up, and fixing it places. I will bring you close in a minute, but yeah, they're just basically clamping places. This is where the old aircon used to be, so there was a thread already there. Here I just rib nutted it, and then there's just brackets I made up here. It's all pretty secure, and then I put some edge trimming around it. The main reason I did that is because what I've done is, so on the Mark 5 and on a lot of other R32 engine stuff, the ECU, well, the factory ECU usually goes in the scuttle, and anyone that's worked on one knows it's an absolute nightmare. So obviously I'm on EMU black, but I put it, when I originally did the build, I put it in the factory place, which was, when you're trying to work on it and when you want the wire to do like the mapping and stuff like that, I ended up having a lead that I kind of ran out and then went through the window, and then just put the window up a bit, so the wire was actually running out here and then going around through the window, which is not very good in the first place. I don't want that. And then anytime if you wanted to add like a sensor wire or you wanted to do anything, working in there is just an absolute nightmare. So what I've done is, we've pulled that out of there, I've pulled the loom out, and we've actually, behind this heat shield, obviously I've got the heat shield, I'm not going to take it off, but basically, behind the back of that heat shield, there's a metal plate there. So what I've done is, I've actually cut out like almost like an oval hole, and I've got a big grommet, and then we've fed the wire through there, and then I'm just going to cover it over. But I mean, it's covered by the heat shield anyway, but I'm also going to cover it by like a waterproof patch or whatever. But yeah, so all the wiring loom for the engine now goes through the bulkhead, and it is in the passenger footwell. That's another thing I'm going to show you in this video. So we'll just do a quick overview and then I'll bring you into each thing. So yeah, that heat shield's done. I'm really happy with it. Everything's hid behind it. We've also added more wiring in, so I've added this wire here. It's kind of quite long in a minute because I wanted to be sure, but that's basically we've got a fuel pressure sensor, so I'm going with a different tuner now, and one of the things he wants is he wants oil pressure and fuel pressure. He wants to be able to see that while he's remote tuning it. So I already had an oil pressure sensor when it went to the gauge, but it looks like I can just take the wires from the gauge and run it to the EMU black. That's what I'm hoping I do. Them wires are already in the car, so it'll just make it a lot easier. It's already got the 3 wires. I mean, I don't know if I can piggyback it so it works on the gauge as well, but either way, I'm not too bothered. I mean, if he puts safeties and it goes to the ECU, it's probably better than me just visually looking at it. So it is what it is. If it needs to be taken from the gauge and it no longer works on the gauge, then I'll just do that because it just makes my life a lot easier. So this wire here, this is for the fuel pressure sensor. So what I've got is, I actually got the ECU Master genuine one. So what I'll do is, let me go grab it and I'll show you that quickly, and then we'll come in closer over here and then we'll carry on towards the back of the car. So yeah, let's get. So I can't remember if you can remember before, but obviously on my rail I had a manual gauge. I think it was a turbo smart gauge, or it might be a new performance, can't remember. Anyway, I've got a manual gauge on my rail, and I want to keep that gauge on the rail. I quite like how it looks, and it's nice to just be able to look under the bonnet and see it there. But what I found is, on my fuel pressure regulator, that has also got a 1/8 MPT thread on it. So my plan is, as long as it doesn't foul on anything, I won't know until I start building it back up basically. But as long as it doesn't foul on anything, I've got it on, that's my Turbo Smart FRP 1200 fuel pressure regulator. So it had this thread in there. So this is the ECU Master pressure sensor. It can be used for oil or fuel, but obviously I'm using this for fuel. Like I said, I already had an oil pressure sensor. So yeah, that's just that. So that's going to go under the bonnet. That's what needs 3 wires for. Obviously I need to put the pins on it and put the plug on it. But essentially that will run around the rest of the loop over to here somewhere where it's got the fuel pressure regulator. And then obviously the different manifold and everything. And then the wiring's changed, but under here it's all going to be pretty much the same. So what I'm going to do now is we'll start moving towards the back of the car. So I've changed some of the fueling system, which I'll get to probably after that next. What we'll do first is we'll go into the interior, because what I've got is I fitted a roll cage. I moved the ECU like I was saying a minute ago, which I'll show you. I'm also getting some different door cards with some speakers, and I'll cover that. And then we'll go into the boot, which I'll cover the new fuel system and everything that's going on with that. And then we'll just go look at the gearbox quick there, and then that'll be pretty much it for today. that'll give a full update and kind of cover everything I'm doing. There might be some things I've missed, but we can always go back over that. But yeah, without no more talking, let's have a look inside, what's going on inside the car, and then we'll move to the back, then to the box. So yeah, let's get it. Right, so yeah, here we are inside. So obviously I've got a roll cage now. It's bolted through the floor, and then at the back it goes through the factory seatbelt mounting. I've done this for two reasons. Obviously, one of the main ones, safe there, just because I'm going up in power and kind of wanted one anyway. But I can't lie, I've also done it a bit for aesthetics as well, because I do like the look of a roll cage, and it's got the safety aspect as well. So yeah, this is all fully bolted in now. It's solid. It's got harness bar, so if I ever change seats and I want to run harnesses or whatever, it's there. But yeah, obviously it also makes the car a bit more rigid. So it goes through the floor, there's plates underneath the floor where it bolts through to, and then obviously, like I said, the factory mounting points. So before, because I got the rear seat delete, so there was one piece that I always had there, and then there was another piece that went here. It's actually just over there. Obviously I can't fit that no more, just because of this being in here, because of the roll cage. You can see these two little wooden bits that stick out. That's where the old bit used to go onto, and then it come out to like here, so it was like flat. It was wood all the way across. But what I have done is I've sent over a template to a company who's going to make me like a carpet. So there's like a carpet mat, and it's going to come off here, and it's going to come down, and it's going to go around the roll cage and stuff, just to kind of cover all this, just to make it a bit nicer looking. Do you know what I mean? It'll cover all these braided hoses, and it'll just cover kind of all of this, where you can see some of the, obviously the body and stuff. So yeah, I've got a mat, I've paid for it and stuff, so it should be with me in the next week or so, I expect. So I've got a nice carpet to go in there. That's pretty much what I'm seeing the back. So what we'll do is we'll spin the camera around now, and I'll show you like the ECU mounting point and stuff, and we'll cover that, and then we'll go around to the back. All right, so I just grabbed a light. I don't know how well you're going to see. So this bit I made around it, this is actually just, this was what came on the roll cage. Let me just take that out a minute. Right, so that's where my ECU is. Obviously, this is these are the three wires I was just saying a minute ago for the fuel pressure sensor. So obviously they need pinning and putting in. But basically there was a thread already in the floor, and then another one I riv knotted. It is just kind of sandwiched with two big body washers. I was going to make up a nice bracket, but to be honest, after feeling this, it's completely solid. You're not going to see it. So I feel like there's not really a lot of point. You kind of just like spending time on something that's not really a problem. And then obviously this piece, this was just what came on the roll cage, stop it getting scraps in transit. So because it's like a U shape, it goes around the ECU nicely. So I've just kind of put this around here. Obviously I've cut some of the bottom of the floor, so this kind of sits in nicely here, just to kind of stop if you put your feet on it. When I put the carpet back, I'm probably going to make something else just so you can't put your feet on it. But yeah, it kind of sits nicely there. What I will do is, let me just bring it all the way in. So I don't know how well you're going to see this. But in here, this is where, if you see there, that grommet, that's where all the wiring loom comes through. That big grommet I made there on that metal plate, and then obviously just goes down onto the ECU, and it's all nicely clamped there. So yeah, that's the plan of where that's going to stay. I've just got to get everything else wired in there. So yeah, that's that. What else we're going to cover? Yeah, so the door cards, let me cover the door cards quickly. So let me just put this over here so you can see. Yeah, so these door cards I've got. I haven't got them yet, so I can't show you properly, but I will just cover it quickly. So what they do is they use the factory top bit, which I wanted. They do them without as well, where you can have it where it doesn't have the top factory bit, but I like it because otherwise you can see the painted bit of the door. And I like leaning my arm on the door sometimes. So what it's basically going to be, it's going to be like gloss black plastic. It'll have like a yellow pull handle to shut it. It just kind of drops weight and just kind of looks quite nice. So it'll just be like a gloss black piece. It'll have all the switches and everything in it needs. And then what I've got planned is I've actually removed the speakers from the back just to save weight and stuff, and no one ever goes in the back. And then what I've got is I've got these the JL audio speakers. So the plan is, obviously, this will kind of be gloss black, and it'll have some switches in. It'll be pretty much flat, and it'll just have a yellow pull handle, and then obviously the door handle for opening the doors there. And then I'm planning on mounting these directly in the door, so they'll kind of be exposed, and the yellow will go nice with the rest of the yellow bits in it. So they'll just kind of be like that, just exposed as they are, and then it'll just be like gloss black door card with the yellow pull handle and stuff. But yeah, when that's done, when we're doing it or whatever, I'll cover that. But I just wanted to give you a little update on that anyway. So that is another thing that's going on the interior. But I think that's about it for the interior. So we'll move on to the back, and I'll show you the changes I made with the fuel system, and then we'll go have a look at the box. Right, so here we are in the back. Obviously, you've seen this before because this is the same how it was. The only difference is in this tank now, so before I only had one Walbro 450. I now have two in there, so there's two Walbro 450s. The fuel filter is the same as it was before, but the only difference is now I've got the new Performance Flex Fuel. So I don't know how much I covered in my last video, but the meth is now gone. So if we look over this side, I've now got a VP Racing tank there. Obviously, it's just like the jug. I've made a strap up, so it's riv nutted there, riv nutted around there, so you can unclasp this. This is just basic, because when I go to events, unfortunately, I haven't got a trailer and stuff, so I'll be able to put ethanol in here. Obviously, I won't drag race with that in there, but it's just to get it to the event, and then I'll take it out. And obviously, where I had the meth tank down here, so there's a cut in this floor, so it kind of covers that and this at the same time. Still got the battery cut off just here, but yeah, the big thing is, let me take you in close. So over here, that is now, it's the new Performance. It gives it full flow. So let me put that down a minute. So around here, so obviously it goes through the sensor, but it can also bypass the sensor. This stops it from having a restriction, so you can put it in the feed line instead of having to have it in the return. So it's got a plug on it, it's wired through. I ran the wires all the way through to the ECU, so that's now wired into the ECU, so I can run ethanol now, and it'll mix it on the fly because it's flex fuel. So yeah, the filter and everything. You can have a quick look on the top of here. So obviously now it's just got an extra power, so we've got two powers, one earth. So yeah, two Walbro 450s, goes through the filter and then through the ethanol content sensor, and yeah, and then runs down to the car exactly the same it was. So yeah, it's pretty much the same, just an extra pump, and now has flex fuel, and the meth is gone. So yeah, the meth used to be there, so that's gone now. So for when I'm running the high power, what I'll do is I'll just run it on ethanol, and we're not having meth now. So obviously with the problems I had, obviously the meth pipe burst. I think it was obviously deeper than that. I'm not just going to blame it on the meth. There was obviously more things going on other than that. But with that bursting and speaking to the new tuner, basically the new tuner said he don't want to use meth. The only time he uses meth is if it's port meth. It's got loads of controls in place, otherwise he doesn't like using it. And with that pipe bursting and everything else that went on, I'd rather not have it. It's not linked to the standalone ECU. It's got its own controller, makes it more complicated. The way with the ethanol, the good thing with the ethanol flex fuel is there is no switching between it. I can just run pump fuel for months and months and months, and it'll run on pump fuel, and then I can go to an event. I just tip ethanol in it. Obviously we've got to map it on ethanol, but once the mapping's all done, I can then just go to an event one time, tip ethanol in it, and it will just change over to the other map basically and start running on ethanol, where it'll be like a higher power. So I'll just have like a pump gas kind of brake horsepower setting that will just be on the road and stuff. And we'll go to an event, I'll tip off ethanol in it, and it'll run a higher power then, and we can run more boost and everything, more timing, and basically get more power out of it. But yeah, that's pretty much what's going on in the back. The only thing we've got left to cover now is the box, obviously. So I'll take you over. Obviously I haven't got the bracket back yet, so I'll just have to show you what I've done and what my plans are. And yeah, that'll pretty much it for today. And then the next thing will be when the engine's built. I don't know whether I'm going to cover that in a video or not, just because I've already built the block before. I kind of don't want to do the same video twice. But I might do like a video of an overview. I'm not going to go into, before my video last time was like an hour building the bottom end and covering everything, so I'm not going to do all that again. If you want to see what was done, you can just go back, watch the other video. But what I will do is I'll probably give an overview over things, so I'll probably do like a 15-minute video just kind of covering some major points rather than doing a whole in-depth of whole building it again. But yeah, anyway, let's go over and have a look at the box, and then we're done for today. Right, so there's a lot of mess around here, and I'll be honest, I can't be asked to tidy it all up and stuff just for the sake of this video, so what I'm going to do is I'll just cover it quickly, so just ignore the mess. So what I had was, I already had a Q3 box that had some internal problems with it, and then an RS3 box popped up for cheap because it had been in a crash. So what I'll show you first, this is the RS3 case. So as you see where the mount goes, it's all broke there. Someone's tried to I don't even know what that is. It's some kind of bonding, but it's basically gone all the way through anyway. So that case is scrapped. So chuck that to one side, that's the RS3 one. This is the one off the Q3, which is all good. So this is the back casing. Obviously the bell housing off this box is the one that's been sent off at the minute, getting the bracket done and getting the machining done so it can fit on. So that's the back side of it. And then what we'll do is we'll pull you up here. Right, my head's just down here, so ignore that. So that's the RS3, that is the bell housing side of the box. So obviously we're not using that, we're using the Q3 one, but basically the plan is to use the casing off the Q3, the back one where you just seen then, and then the bell housing off the Q3, and then I'm going to try, if we can, to move all of the gears and the gear ratios, so it'll have the RS3 gear ratios, but in a good case, so it'll be in the Q3 case. I've got a guy trying to work on the software now. I don't know if that's going to be 100% or whether we're going to end up using the Q3 ratios. It's just because obviously the diesel ratios aren't as good as what the RS3 ones were, but it depends if the guy can make me the custom software or not. Because what has to happen is, so the RS3 mech can't be used because it's too new. It has to be a Gen 1 mech. So I need to use the mech out of the Q3, but obviously if we put the RS3 gears in it, then that ratio is not going to be in the software. So you then need to kind of transplant the RS3 ratios into the Q3 mechatronic unit. That's where it gets a little bit complicated, but a guy's working on it now. I haven't got the thingy back, so we don't know what we're doing. I don't know whether I'm going to use these gears or the other gears are over there. So they're the Q3 gears. That's what came out the Q3 box. So if it comes to it, I'll use the Q3 ratio gears, but ideally I'd like to use the RS3 ones if I can. I've got a couple of other little goodies, so just spin this camera a little bit. So this is another AliExpress little goodie, and it's actually really nice. So this, like I had on my other one, so this is the oil filter housing. I mean, it has like a heat sink on it that's meant to be for cooling it. I mean, in reality, I very much doubt it does anything at all. I've just got it because it looks good, and the plastic ones, they can crack. I've seen them crack before. So I just don't really like the plastic ones on any kind of DSG box. I always get one of these, especially for the price. This was about £20. It was like 20 quid. And the quality and everything on that, for £20, it's not worth keeping the plastic one. So yeah, I mean, even because of a nice O-ring, the O-ring feels quite good on it. Sometimes I feel a bit crap, but that O-ring feels good. So I've got that for it. That'll go on when it's all ready. And then the other thing I've got is so these. It's not so easy to see because it's in the case, so I won't show you. I'll just talk about it. So basically, obviously the mechatronic unit has oil going through it, so the way it selects gears is obviously the mechatronic redirects oil, which then obviously the oil hits kind of like a piston, which then actually pushes it, so it's like oil pressure that pushes the selector. So they have these little pistons, so that's where the oil pushes against. Obviously they've got a rubber coating around the outside, so obviously that's what seals it, so the oil pressure will kind of hit that, and that will push down, that will then push the selector. Again, these are off AliExpress, they look pretty good quality, so these are just the pistons, because obviously these can wear, especially if the box has got quite a lot of wear on it. So the Q3 box has done a lot of miles. And I believe that the fault with the Q3 box was probably down to these, because when we took it apart there was not really anything wrong with the selectors and the gears, but there was definitely an internal fault with it. So I believe it's down to these just being worn out. So I have got a full new set of these. I'm going to put these in with the oil filter housing. Like I said, don't know what gears I'm using yet. Don't know whether I'm going to use the RS3 gears or whether we're going to use the Q3 diesel gears. hopefully he can come through with the software and we can use the RS3 gears, because that's when it's going to work the best. But I can see that the DQ500 swap's going to be a bit of a nightmare, but you know, it's one of the things we need to get it done. I haven't really ordered anything else yet. I still need to get a angle drive for it, a 4-wheel drive unit that bolts on it, because I didn't have one with either of these boxes. The RS3 box, obviously the Q3 box I already had was a customer's, and he just left it here. And then the RS3 I bought off someone, but again didn't have an angle drive, so just need to buy the transfer case. Dual mass flywheel, I've got that as well. Let me go grab that and we'll show you that quickly. Right, so this here, right, someone actually, I've got to give the benefit to someone else. Someone else told me about this dual mass flywheel. So this comes from the Asian market. So this is actually a genuine Volkswagen Audi. Actually ordered it from, well, we call it this thing they call TPS, which is like Volkswagen, Audi, Seat, Skoda, genuine parts. So I actually got it directly from them, so it actually came genuine in a genuine box and stuff. But this is for the Asian market, so this fits VR6 with the bolt holes, but it's also for DQ500. So this is the perfect bit you need to do a DQ500. So it's actually a genuine part, not an aftermarket part. It's actually real nice looking as well. It almost looks like it's been CNC'd. And this was like 300 quid, which 300 quid for a dual mass flywheel, especially for a DSG, and a genuine one is dirt cheap. Like the DQ250s, the genuine ones, if I remember right, are about 500 odd quid, maybe even more. Some of them are different. So the fact that this is about 300 quid and it looks so nice looking, and it makes it so you can put a DQ500 on a VR6. Yeah, so if anyone needs this, I have got the part number. So just give me a shout. So yeah, let me go put this back. What I'll do is, say you haven't got to go in the comments and ask for the part number, what I'll do is I'll put it on here. So I've got the bolts for it as well, again genuine. So I'll hold it up here so you can see. So it's 03H105266E for Echo. So that is the genuine part number you need for that dual mass flywheel. That should bolt on to a 3.2 VR6 or bolt straight onto the crank. I have actually tried it on the crank as well, so I'm not just guessing. I have tried it myself. It does line up with the crank. I'll put each bolt in and put them finger tight just to make sure they all line up. So it does bolt to my crank. I haven't tried it with the DQ500 yet, because obviously I can't measure the distance till I've got it. But I'm told by multiple people that it does work and it does fit the crank. So fingers crossed. So yeah, that is the part number you need. Like I said, I've got the bolts. But yeah, I think that's all it is for the minute. Obviously, as soon as my block gets back, I'm going to start building it up. And I just really want to put it together as quick as I can. And I've been saying about like videos of actually it driving, people's reactions and stuff like that. So they're what I'm going to aim for. I'm just going to do quick overview videos now, just to smash it out, get it done quick. Because every time I record stuff, it just makes it longer and I have to plan it out a little bit more. So that's why I just wanted to give a quick overview now. So yeah, I'm just literally going to build it as quick as I can, do little overview videos, and then we'll be back out on the road. But yeah, I've got other things that I've got planned coming as well, but I'm just mad busy at the minute, so I'll try and cover it as best I can. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace. Right, I got a little bit of bonus content for anyone that stayed till the end. So this just here, this is Baz's caddy with, well, I won't do no speaking, but just have a look at this. .2 VR6 watt caddy van. So someone else did the swap on it, but it weren't running right. Took it for mapping. It was coming out with cam correlation, so it turned out the timing chain was completely knackered on it. So I have just done full timing chain, guides, and a load of clutch, dual mass, and loads of other bits on it. I'll give you a quick little look around it. So it's on some Audi wheels. It's also got S-line seats. The back's just normal. It's on BC coilovers. Well, obviously coilovers at the front, and then at the back it's got wishbones, but it's got, not wishbones, sorry, it's got leaf springs at the back. But they've got like different shackles on, they've been brought down, and it's got the BC shocks on the back, so it's still got leaf springs, but it's got the BC shocks. But yeah, let me let's just jump in and we'll start it up. been driving this round a little bit, and I gotta say, I want one. I want one for a daily. You hear that now? I've done the timing chain on it. Runs absolutely sweet. I've had quite a few VR6s lately. So this here, Mark 1 TT, that's a 3.2 VR6. Touareg 3.2 VR6. This has done 261,000 miles. 261,000 miles. We've looked after this for 10 plus years, and it still runs sweet. 261,000. What we've also got this EOS, that is also a 3.2 VR6, and then obviously mine inside. So one side at the minute we've got quite a lot of 3.2s, 3.2, 3.2, 3.2, 3.2, and then obviously mine in there. But yeah, I don't know if it's because I've been working on a lot of VR6s or whether it's just a coincidence. Obviously Baz's is definitely not a coincidence, because obviously I know Baz from the R32 Owners Club. He was the one that founded it, so I've got to know him from going to events and stuff. So when he took it for mapping and they said to him there's something wrong with it, and it came to me, he obviously gave me a ring and just said, like, I know you built yours, will you have a look at it? Spent a bit of time looking at it. To be honest, I was a bit unsure, because when you look on VCDS, when you can check the chains, this was actually not showing anything. It was that bad that it wasn't showing anything, but that's what made me start thinking, like, is it something to do with the conversion, some wiring or something like that? So it made me question it a bit. But yeah, in the end I said, I think it's got to be the chain. We've got to pull it apart. I pulled it apart, and yeah, it was definitely the chain. The chain was stretched, the guides were worn out completely. So had the engine out, did all the timing chains, clutch, dual mass, loads of sorted. So I won't go over it too much, but I sorted some little issues that had been done with the engine swap. So I fixed them, and it's running perfect now. And I went on there, VTDS, one is -1 and the other one is +1. So you can't get any more perfect now with the timing. As you can hear from it running, it's running completely sweet. So, and there was a, do you know what? There was a Mark 5 GTI I did the other day, and he had come from Birmingham due to my YouTube videos. So I just want to say a massive shout out to everyone that watches my videos and stuff, because the amount of love and everything I get from it, and even people just saying, oh yeah, I've watched your videos and all this and that, man, like, it's, yeah, it's nice, and it's bringing some, not that we need the work because we're already mad busy, but it's nice to see these VR6s come through. So yeah, just want to say thanks to everyone who watches, and also if you are in England and anywhere around the Midlands and you have got VR6 and you want anything doing, I'm always here to help. So yeah, give me a shout. But yeah, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.